Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're looking at this podcast. This podcast series we call Race, Culture, and the Church. Race, Culture, and the Church. And we are over, I believe we're up to 62 episodes in the books, in the can, so to speak. And this all started 1 week after the murder of George Floyd. And we have had different folks come into this space to share on issues of race, culture, and church. And if we hit all three in conversation, we get an A. But at least we strive for B, to hit one of the three. But I invite you to look at the different ones that have come through this space, get caught up, and join us and subscribe to our podcast series. I am pleased. This is one of the, I know I say this every time, but I am genuinely pleased to have Dr. Luke Wood, president of CSU Sacramento, an extremely busy young man that has been president since 2023. Welcome, Dr. Wood.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our honor. I was reading your bio, so you can blame your staff at CSU if I say something out of pocket or wrong. You're from Oakland. You're born in Oakland.
Born in Oakland.
Okay, so
yeah.
Warriors or Kings?
Kings.
Okay, I'm just
Kings.
checking.
Kings.
I'm just checking.
I was born there, but wasn't raised there.
Oh, okay. So you were raised. You proudly say you're a former foster child, transracial adoptee. And you grew up in the metropolis of McLeod in Siskiyou County. What was that like? Siskiyou County.
Yeah.
I know Mount Shasta's there, but that's about all I know.
Yeah, so what we in the local area call our neck of the woods is you got McLeod, Mount Shasta, Weed, Dunsmuir, Wairika, Etna, right? So very small towns. The town I grew up in was 1,600 people. I like to say it had a high school
stoplight?
A high school of 100 kids, no stoplights, one gas station.
Stop sign?
Stop signs,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Stop signs. I mean, but you're talking about real country.
Yeah.
Right?
What was your high school graduating class size?
I think there's 35 of us who graduated.
Wow.
Yeah. We were one of the biggest classes in years, so it was a big deal.
Wow. And then fate, life, saw fit, came to Sac State and did your undergrad.
Yeah.
And your master's.
Yes.
And then went to University of San Diego?
Went to Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Yeah. I spent a summer at Stanford doing a research fellowship there, and then I went to Arizona State and then did a doctorate and another master's.
Why did you major, you got your PhD in education?
Yes.
Of all the things you could have majored in, why education?
Well, I was originally going to get a degree in Black Studies. That was actually what I wanted, because I did my undergrad in Black Studies at Sacramento State before there was even a Pan-African Studies degree. Myself and a local poet, my friend Patrice Hill, we both did a special major at Sac State. But it was actually through a conversation with Cornel West. So he was at Sacramento State and doing a speech there, and then he had lunch with 4 students. I was one of the 4, and then got to sit and talk with him for like an hour and a half. And I told him that I was gonna go and get a degree in Black Studies. And what he encouraged me to do was to think about going into a discipline and recognizing that that you should be looking at places where there's not a lot of us, because we need more representation. And so education certainly has more Black representation than a lot of other areas, but certainly always needs more people who want to do good for the community, have a focus on equity, and try to uplift those who've been downtrodden.
I can't imagine, I'm confident you've spoken to Dr. West on multiple occasions since that time. He has to feel like a proud father.
I don't know if I would say that he feels like a proud father, but I think he's proud of what we're doing at Sacramento State. I know that. And I don't think that he realized the influence that he had in that conversation.
That was good. You took the words out of my mouth. I can't imagine. I
told him that. I told him that's what he told me, and because of what you told me, this is what I did. And he goes, "Oh, really?"
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it just speaks to the serendipity and you never know what just a brief conversation, an interaction that can cause a pivot in one's trajectory. I think about my own self. It was speaking to a mechanical drawing teacher in my senior year that led me to become an engineer. Didn't know what engineering was, but he just asked the question. And from that, I went into that discipline, which caused my brother to go into that discipline, which caused his sons to go into that discipline. So
So a conversation with one person led a generation of people to do something different.
Yes, totally different. In space, as you well said, in space that isn't always, let's just put it this way, there's a whole lot room for more folks of color and ladies to enter into that space. Engineering, education. So you came to CSU Sacramento through UC San Diego or San Diego State?
San Diego State.
Okay. Share a little bit about
Like,
that. How did that
happen?
Yeah. I tell folks, I said, San Diego's got to be the most beautiful city in California. It's just a beautiful city. So something had to, the lure of the presidency drew you here, I guess.
Well, all right. So left Sacramento State after getting a bachelor's, master's, meeting my wife. My brother and I went to school here. Then short time at Stanford, and then off to Arizona State. Arizona State was very big, very large. I got to see a lot about what student life looks like in terms of building out a campus that's really more for a residential population than a commuter population. Spent a year in Tennessee, a small private Lincoln Memorial University, and then was at a conference and met a man from a professor from San Diego State named Frank Harris. And so Frank was at the conference, and basically I'd like to tell people that I got hired off of the brother nod, right? All right, so for those who don't know what that is, right?
You walk by somebody's...
Yeah, you give them a nod, you say what's up, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a space that's like where there's not a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so we were at this conference, Association for the Study of Higher Education. I saw him on one of the side of the room. First day I see him and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, what's up? We didn't say anything to each other, right? Just like acknowledge your presence, respect you, right?
Correct.
Second day, same thing happens. He's like, what's up? I'm like, what's up, right? Still, like we're on the other sides of the room talking to other people doing our thing. Third day, we do it, and then it's just like, okay, now it's getting awkward. We should go say what's up.
Right.
So he walks up to me, I walk up to him, and he says, he's Frank Harris, he's a professor at San Diego State. And I say, oh yeah, my name is Luke, and I'm a professor or an assistant professor at Lincoln Memorial University. And he said, oh, what do you do research on? I said, oh, I do research on community colleges. That's actually my focus within education, is how do community colleges make it so that more students can be successful? And he said, oh, wow, that's really interesting. I said, well, why is that? He says, well, we're hiring for a professor of community college leadership right now.
Wow.
I'm chairing the search committee. And he pulls out a flyer. You should apply. So I asked him, I was like, okay, so when's the deadline? He said, it's tonight. And I was like, oh my gosh.
No way.
So I canceled all the things I had planned, went to my room, pounded out an application, got it in, and I think I was started maybe 3-4 months later.
Wow.
So,
That is, again, serendipity, divine serendipity. Begs the question, as president of CSU Sacramento, looking back on the arc of your career, your life, did the presidency find you, or did you find the presidency? How would you describe your journey to where you're at right now, seated as the ninth permanent president of CSU Sacramento?
Yeah.
Ninth.
Ninth.
That's one of 9. That's a big doggone deal.
It's pretty surreal. It's also a major responsibility. And so it all began actually as a student at Sacramento State. So I go off to Sacramento State from my small town, and basically we walk into orientation, and we've got this huge room full of students, and something in that orientation actually is what changed my life trajectory. So everybody's gathered together, and they said, look to your left, look to your right, only one of you will graduate. And they thought that was motivational.
That's
right?
pretty depressing.
It's terrible, right?
Gosh.
What they were trying to say is, hey, not everybody who goes to college graduates from college. So you got to be focused, have time management, study skills. Like that's what they were trying to get at. It's just a terrible way of trying to communicate that message.
Scared straight.
Yeah, but for me, I was like, man, like everybody where I grew up was like, oh, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. But I realized that no one ever told you what to do when you got there because no one had ever been there before themselves. And so that was eye-opening. I was like, and then so I started getting further into it. Okay, well, so what are the graduation rates? Okay, well, what are the graduation rates for Black people? Oh man, well, what are the graduation rates for Black men? And I started realizing that not only did we have really low graduation rates, but then it was even worse for certain communities. And so I basically became passionate about student success. And by the time I hit my sophomore year of college, I would walk around introducing myself to people, saying, hi, my name is Luke. I'm going to be the president of Sacramento State. Hi, my name is Luke. I'm going to be president of Sacramento State. You
actually said that.
Yeah.
That was on your bingo card back then.
Yes. And that's not you. There's hundreds of people who are in this region still who can attest to that.
That wasn't hubris. That was where you saw yourself.
It's where I saw myself. It's what I felt like what was my calling, if you would say. It's, you know, it's what I feel like me being in this role. I definitely could say that I feel like God put me here, unquestionably, because there were so many different things that happened along the way that I was able to do what most people weren't able to do, and I know it's not just because of me, right? And so yeah, I get to be the president of Sacramento State. I get to be the president of my alma mater. I get to be the president of the only public university in the state capital of the 4th largest economy in the world. And so coming in with that kind of focus though, I wanted to make sure that we are creating an environment that made it so that no matter what your background was, actually even better, that because of what your background was, you were going to have an experience of success and real support across that stage of graduation. And so my focus has been on student success. It's been on trying to, leverage our strengths. Came here, we had a great football team. Great, let's go FBS. We had great programs that served the capital region. Great, let's build a campus that's downtown. We had incredible diversity on campus. Great, let's expand out our cultural centers, right? So every single thing that we're doing is leveraging a strength that we already had.
What is the common, if there is a thread, maybe you can capture it, and if I were really good, I would have probably looked at your mission statement and maybe it's there, that weaves through all of that. I say that because it seems like there's, if I can use the analogy or metaphor of a drink, you got a lot of straws in the drink. So what is that common theme that is driving what you're doing?
I would say that the common thing is creating a university for the students. And so for me, it's very important that what we're doing is creating an opportunity for, what would happen if we were truly student-centered? Like we really thought about, how do we build out this program to serve our students? How do we create an event like this to truly serve our students? How do we do initiatives that truly serve our students and meet them where they're at, right? And so we do things that are different than what was done before I got here. And so that there's also now, we're going through a period of rapid change. I definitely believe in rapid change. Important piece to understand about me. So I'm a professor who happens to be in an administrative role. So I see myself as more of an intellectual than a career manager. Like that's not me. And if they wanted that, then that's not what they got, right? And so I would say that it's the difference between incrementalism versus punctuated equilibrium theory. So, right, if you look at change over time, incrementalism says you come into a university and you do slow changes. Change a little bit here, maybe add these new classes here, maybe a couple new programs there, but it's slow changes over time. And if you wanted to do slow changes over time, then we would be getting our lunch eaten right now by other universities because of the level of competition that's out there. But we're coming off of, and what punctuated equilibrium's theory says is that there's certain periods of time when the conditions in the environment change so much that you can do things that you could have never done before, that you can have a period of rapid growth. For example, but prior to COVID-19, no, you would not have found that the majority of faculty who would have said, yeah, I can teach an online class. COVID-19 happens, we go online, and then what happens? Then a lot of universities now struggle to get the faculty to come back in person. Not so much at Sacramento State, but that's a common theme. And so you need to look at, we're coming off of the pandemic, still seeing the effects of the pandemic in terms of the youth that we serve. When you think about the brain development that takes place at certain periods of time in your life and the lack of access to those opportunities that took place. So there's differences in stress, anxiety, depression, social skills that we're managing, right? Then you've got, we're at war, right? Right now with Iran. Then you have, the Trump administration and a lot of their policies. Then we're, a state budget reduction. I could go on. All these things are happening, but we're taking every single challenge and using it as an opportunity to create something even more special for the community. And so for us, I'm not an incrementalism person. I'm a punctuated equilibrium person because that's the period of time that we're in, but that's also why there are a lot of straws. But those straws are doing things that we could have never have done before if we weren't leveraging the fact that we're in a period of chaos and rapid change around us.
You caused me to reflect again. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King in '63 spoke about the fierce urgency of now.
Yeah.
And before he used that phrase, he spoke about the seductive nature of gradualism. Exactly what you're talking about right now. It's got to be incredible tension in the space you're in because you have an institution of higher learning and it doesn't happen. Full disclosure, I'm a Sac State graduate, class of '80, School of Engineering. But
singers up.
Singers up. But it's got to be somewhat more than a little bit challenging because I can hear the refrain, but we've always done it this way. And this is the way you're supposed to matriculate. This is the way you're supposed to do what you do. And you get Dr. Luke Wood coming in from Siskiyou County.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to go fast because the time is now. The conditions are right. What type of tensional milieu are you residing in right now with that?
With the students, the engagement with our students is amazing. With our faculty and staff, they're very committed to serving our students. So I would say that the engagement with our faculty staff, for the most part, is very positive. I think we're some of the external people who want us to stay a mom and pop university. I think that's where some of that, the challenge comes in. We get a lot of op-eds written about us, right? We get stories that are done about us. People want to try. I've heard this all the time. We feel like we can make our career off of Luke Wood, or we feel like we could make our career off of Sacramento State, right? By trying to somehow take down the work that we're doing. And at the same time, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Preach.
So we're not gonna slow down, because the difference between me and maybe many other presidents is I'm not a career administrator in that way. Someday I'll be back in the classroom and I'm good with that. I'm not trying to be a president anywhere else, so I'm not trying to do the normal things that you would do so you can set yourself up for a different position that might be at what might be viewed stereotypically as a better institution. Sac State's where I want to be. It's my alma mater. I'm not trying to do something else. And so because of that, I have the freedom of being able to lead Sacramento State with a lot more clarity and a lot more dogged determination to just get it done. So where others may feel uncomfortable and say they're moving fast, in my mind, I'm frustrated because I feel like we're not moving fast enough. Where others may say, wow, they're taking on a lot, I would say, I'm from San Diego State. This is not a lot. I was fortunate to have been trained under one of the best presidents that our system has ever had. And the rapidness in which you have to be responsive to these changing conditions in our world, like what I'm really doing is I'm really bringing us up to speed. But then once we get up to speed, then the sky's going to be the limit. So in many ways, what we're doing right now is the horizontal development so that we can do the vertical.
Or to borrow from an engineer, you're doing the groundwork, you're doing the foundational work so you can go high
Yes.
with the structure. If I'm not mistaken, Arizona State, correct?
Yes.
Isn't that the largest public institution in the country?
Well, it's either one or two, because Ohio State is also very large, but it's Arizona State and Ohio State are by far.
And the reason I bring that up is because that's where you were at. And so you saw that firsthand. So I'm sure that has helped shape your vision of what's possible with downtown Sacramento, which is largely a ghost town these days.
Yes, and what is seen as a challenge for the community becomes an opportunity for us to be able to better serve our students, right? So on campus, we don't have a lot of space. We're out of space. Downtown has space.
A lot of
Great.
space.
A lot of space, right? But think about like, what is Sacramento State? What's our bread and butter, right?
Government.
It's government, right? Political science, public policy, criminal justice, which we have the second largest program in the country, international relations, and then policy for health and everything else, right, that we might have. Like putting that next door to the state capitol allows us to do things that really leverage our strength. And here's the thing, if we weren't good at policy or government, there'd be something wrong with us, right? But fortunately, it's our strength, and we happen to be next door to one of the few full-time legislatures in the country. So the opportunities for our students to be able to live, to learn, to intern, to enjoy themselves, and to help serve as an engine for economic development for our local downtown area is one where it's the needs of the area aligning with the needs of the university, aligning with the needs of the students.
One of the things that correct me if I'm wrong, one of the policies that you're trying to implement is to require incoming freshmen to commit to live proximate to campus for 2 years.
Yes.
Went to CSU, Sacramento, lived in Alberta, north of Rio Linda. If that were a requirement for me back then, I wouldn't be going to Sac State.
Yes. Well,
Can't afford that.
Well, it wouldn't have affected you.
Okay.
So the requirement is for 50 miles or more away from Sacramento State.
Okay.
So if you're in our local area, you don't have to live on campus. So what we're trying to get at is the students who are driving from San Francisco back and forth to take classes from Sacramento State, and recognizing like that's not healthy for student success.
And you have a lot of that going on?
Not only do we have a lot of it going on, we have an increasing amount of it going on. And we want to make sure that they're successful. So the live on requirement is about basic needs. We have a lot of students who live in their cars, a lot of students who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. So we have housing, and by requiring living in housing, they can then use essentially their financial aid to help take care of that. Second, it's about student success. So when we look at our data on time to graduation, because everyone wants their students to be able to go to a 4-year university and graduate in 4 or 5 years. They don't want the student graduating in 7 or 8 years.
Right.
And so time to graduation rates. So when we look at it, our students who live in housing, even for 1 year, just 1 year, they graduate at 10 percentage points higher than our general student population, just for a 1-year intervention. So we're going for 2 years. So it's about basic needs, it's about time to graduation, it's about graduation rates, but it's also about campus life. Like we're trying to build up a campus life and make Sacramento State a fun place to be. So, we do concerts, we do pop-up events, we bring in amazing guest speakers, we have fraternities and sororities, right? I'm trying to make sure that we build a student life so a local student would say to themselves, why would I go somewhere else when I got Sac State in my own backyard?
So is that your pitch for a sixth grader who lives in Oak Park, maybe has a single parent? Why? You're a great poster child. I mean, I want to be Dr. Wood when I grow up. What do you tell that child, that kid going into junior high school? Yeah, you need higher education. Maybe it's for you. And if you're considering it, why not Sac State?
I would tell them that the world is going to change so much over the next 5 years that the labor market will be unrecognizable because of artificial intelligence.
5 years.
Yes. And so I would say to them, you should absolutely be planning to come to Sacramento State, because we are going to be the people who are preparing the world for artificial intelligence, not the people who are losing to it, because we're willing to change fast. And so if you want a future where you have a job, if you want a future where you have healthy well-being and way of life, then you should look at the university in your backyard.
Do you, either yourself or your surrogates, are you going out to the communities and preaching the gospel, if you will?
Yes, the good news of student success. We joke about
Race,
this, so yes.
culture, and the church.
So I think we're getting an A. But yes, we do. We have a great outreach team that does that. We have a lot of our cultural centers that go out and do that. I go out and do a lot, talking to people and just telling them what we got going on. I mean, we have unique things happening at Sacramento State that aren't happening anywhere else right now. Like, so a couple of them, right? We just made a transition to the highest level of D1 football. Highest level. The first university in 57 years in the West Coast to do it, because it's that hard. We just got $50 million from Meta to help build and start building our downtown campus. We opened the nation's first Black honors college, the only Black honors college outside of an HBCU, that will be at almost 1,000 students this fall. We've got a Native American college called Waletu that is serving almost 30 tribal nations right now at Sacramento State. We've got the only university in the country that has a collegiate MMA program sponsored by the university. And we've got boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, combat jiu-jitsu, and mixed martial arts, where you can come on as a student, go on campus and watch live cards with our students competing with students from other campuses. So again, this whole idea of like, what do the students actually want? And that's what we're building. And so we're trying to make it so that we are a university that is for the students. Like, what would happen if the students were running the university? That's kind of what we're trying to do.
And as they're running the university, they implied, this is more of a question than a statement, they know which target they're shooting at?
Well, I would say that the target that we're shooting at is visibility, becoming a national brand. The target we're shooting at is student success through graduation rates. The target that we're shooting at is labor market outcomes, making sure that our students, when they graduate, they don't just graduate in the debt, they don't just graduate into working the same job that they were already working, but the upward socioeconomic mobility for themselves and for their families. So those are the three things that our focus is on, and everything else is oriented towards that.
I've already gotten the high sign twice. We are out of time, but if time were allowed, that means Dr. Wood has to come back, really want to, when you spoke about your history in Tennessee, it was a community college focus. I'd really be interested in hearing how you see the tier system working in concert more robustly, let's just put it that way, from 2-year to CSU system, to UC system, to the Stanfords and USCs of the world.
Yeah.
To borrow from Rodney King, can't we all just get along? You know, can all of this work for the betterment of that child in Oak Park that doesn't quite know what the future is going to be, but is there someone going to prepare a Swiss Army knife for me to use for the future?
Well, it's all based upon the California Master Plan, a document written in the 60s, which basically says that, and it may not have been the 60s, I believe it was, that basically these three tiers, right? You've got your community colleges, open access, you've got the Cal State system, which Sacramento State is part of, which is supposed to serve like that middle tier of student. And you've got the UCs who are supposed to serve the best and brightest, right? Stereotypes here, right?
Correct.
So look at the demographics of those three systems and those three tiers. Look at the economics of those students. Look at the opportunities that those students have, and what you will find is that it is merely a document that encourages social and racial reproduction.
Correct.
And so, as a critical race theorist who happens to be a president, when I see things like that, and then I look at the funding of our systems, and I look at the fact that the most affluent students, right, with the best grades, who are more likely to be homogenous, not to say that we don't have diversity in some of the UCs, right? They tend to go to the UC, right, where they have more resources and essentially world-class facilities. But the people who look like me and you, we go to the community college or the Cal State.
Correct.
So how I've tried to basically think about what we're doing at Sacramento State is there's some universities who will look at students of color, low-income students, students who are from minoritized communities, students who are the first in their families to go to college, and be like, we don't want them. But for us, I'm like, that's exactly who I want, right? The young girl in Oak Park who wants to create a better life for herself and for her family, I want her at Sacramento State. The young boy from the Heights, right? I want him at Sacramento State. So we're going to be the university that serves the community and not get caught into a document that wasn't designed for us anyways.
Dr. Luke Wood, I said it before, I've said it privately, I'm praying for you, and I say it publicly, I'm praying for you because you are doing, in every sense of the word, God's work. And I thank you for coming into this space, but I need to extract from you a promise that you'll come back.
I would love to come back.
Thank you, Dr. Wood.
All right. Thank you, brother.